Naira Bets is the best play in online horse racing and betting. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. NairaBets.com.
Saturday's action, the Breeders' Cup, kicks off with perhaps the most wide-open race in the sequence, and that is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. They're on the dirt. There's no songbird in this race. An evenly matched field. There will be no heavy favorites. Let's take a look at horses from the West Coast to start it out, and their big prep for this race. And this was the Chandelier, won by Noted and Quoted. The speed held together in a track kind of speed. They went honest enough paces, nothing that fast, but nothing that slow. And Noted and Quoted seemed to have stepped forward for trainer Bob Baffert, and she certainly has to be considered a player in this race. She didn't draw that well on the outside. I think she's the best one of the group from that race, but I don't know that she's any great shakes, and I think you have to let price be your guide a bit in here. Now, there are other horses from California to take a look at. If you go back to Del Mar, Noted and Quoted and others in this race all finished behind Union Strike. This was Union Strike's last race and second career start when she got a decent enough trip, but she was a good winner at 7 furlongs. Now, she has to stretch out and do it a mile and a 16th, but her sire, Union Rags, won the Belmont Stakes, so she should be able to get the distance. She's changed trainers since that race to Craig DeLassy. Not having a strong year, but it's not a bad trainer change, and I think Union Strike is a player in this race and will be on my tickets somewhere. A California horse that will not be on my tickets is American Gal. American Gal won just 2 weeks ago when she came out for her second career start off a 2-month layoff and was very strong in winning a sprint race, the ANOAKIA, a race that was a prep for this race. I probably mispronounced that. I apologize. She's the speed. She raced from post 12. She's got to go. She's going to be part of a fast pace that may well include the number 2 horse in here as well. We'll see how that works out, but I don't want her stretching out. Of the California horses, the ones I would use would be Union Strike and Noted and Quoted. Now, let's take a look at some that the East Coast and the Midwest, I should say, have to offer. Let's look at Yellow Agate, who was an impressive winner of our Frizette. It's a real possibility inside the rail was the place to be this day, and Yellow Agate did a very good job in grinding out a victory against a very tough opponent in Libby's Tail. Can she stretch out effectively? Can she come back just 4 weeks later out west and get it done? I think she's a big-time player for Christophe Clement, who's looking for his first Breeders' Cup win. She's my second choice. Yellow Agate's one I'll be using. I am not going to be using the horses out of the Alcibiades, and that was the first and second place finishers, Dancing Rags and Daddy's Lil Darling. They do have that two-turn experience that Yellow Agate does not have, but they were not. This was not an impressive race. It just wasn't very fast, and to me, I want horses that can run faster times, and I just feel like they may be a cut below. The horse who has far and away the best speed figure in this race is a horse off a maiden win named Jamyson and Ginger. Jamyson and Ginger absolutely buried a field with a fully legit 103 buyer figure. I think we can all agree if she runs a 103 in here, she'll win this race just about as easily. Now, I don't think we think that's going to happen, and we don't know if she can do it in a dry track, but her other races are better than she looks. When she finished 5th behind Yellow Agate in her prior race, she had significant early trouble. She is a talented horse. If she can ship out west and come anywhere close to duplicating that race, she'll be very tough, and she's a price. It's a wide-open race. I put her on top. I went 7, 4, 9, 10. I've got Jamyson and Ginger over Yellow Agate, over the 9 Union Strike, and the 10 Noted and Quoted. This is a wide-open race. Keep an open mind and look for prices. And when you're looking for prices, do it at Naira Bets. We have a special bonus, $300. Sign up now. Promo code BC2016. Bet 300, get 300. You'll need that 300 for your bankroll for the Breeders' Cup races. Second Breeders' Cup race on Saturday's card at Santa Anita's the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf, and I don't think there is a more exciting horse during all of the Breeders' Cup races than the mighty Lady Eli, a horse who was spectacular at 2 and 3. She overcame a very difficult situation last year to come back unbelievably in race, and she seems to be as good as ever. The 1, 2, 3 finishers in this race, Lady Eli, Sentiero Italia, and another Chad Brown horse in this race, C. CALISI, ran 1, 2, 3. Lady Eli is is the horse to beat. In that race, she was forced to be closer to the pace than she's most comfortable because Sentiero Italia, her main competition, had the tactical advantage. There's more speed in this Breeders' Cup race. That will help her chances, and she's the horse to beat. But CALISI's okay, too. Don't forget, she almost overcame the lack of pace in there, and she'll get more pace as well. And more importantly, she'll be a better price. Both of those horses are on my tickets. However, I'm going to try to beat them. Now, there are dangerous Europeans in this race, and particularly Seventh Heaven. Seventh Heaven won the Yorkshire Oaks, and she has been very, very good. I dismissed her last race when she finished 5th. She got buried down the inside and did not have her best chance to run. The one concern, her big wins have been at 1.5 miles. Is she going to be as effective at 1.25 miles? The horse who finishes 3rd to her in this race is Queen's Trust. Now, Queen's Trust finished 3rd in her subsequent start in the British Champions Filly and Mare Stakes, the race that 7th Heaven was 5th. I thought Queen's Trust really moved forward in there, and she didn't have the best of trips either, getting blocked for quite a while before finally getting clear late. And Queen's Trust trainer, Sir Michael Stout, has been extremely good, 4 for 8 in his North American starts the last 5 years, all of them hitting the Super, 7 hitting the board. He's a player in here. She's improving at the right time, and the 11 Queen's Trust should be a fair price. So she's going to be my top selection here. Now, California is represented in this race, and they're represented by a couple of horses. They're coming out of the prep for here, and that's AVENGE and ZIPESSA that ran the Rodeo Drive. They're nice horses. They are not, though, even with a home court advantage, in the company of either Lady Eli Group or the Europeans. I'm not going to be using them. I'm going to be sticking with Europeans and the Lady Eli Group. I've picked the 11 horse in this race, the Queen's horse on top, Queen's Trust. I've taken her over Lady Eli. I'm also going to be using CALISI, who may offer some value. My 4th choice is 7th Heaven, but the Queen's horse will be my top choice in here. But they all have to beat Lady Eli. And if you're going to try to beat her, you'll try to beat her by betting on Naira Bets. No better time to sign up than now. A $300 bonus. Bet 300, get 300. Promo code VC2016. Sign up now for Naira Bets. What are you waiting for? The 3rd Breeders' Cup race on Breeders' Cup Saturday is the Breeders' Cup Sprint. And frankly, it's a race that has fallen apart. Just 7 horses now scheduled to go to the gate. Joking is not going to be running, and unfortunately, Lord Nelson. A couple of horses were taking a lot of money. They will not be playing. We're left with 7. We still have a bit of an East Coast, West Coast battle. The West Coast horse is the 5-year-old Masochistic, the likely favorite. The 6-year-old Masochistic. Here he is in his last start, beating an impressive 3-horse field in the Pat O'Brien, getting a big buyer figure. He's a very good horse. There's no doubt about it. But he's been handled with such kid gloves this year, just 2 starts throughout the year, and he's got to deal with the speed of Delta Bluesman early, and I just think is the favorite. He's vulnerable in here. This is a tougher field, even with the defections he's faced before, and I'm going to try to beat Masochistic. Now, the question is, who are you going to try to beat him with? Well, AP Indian is certainly a horse that has to be considered dangerous in here. He has been sensational, starting with that really with the Levine down at Parks, but then with the Belmont Sprint Championship, the Vanderbilt at 6 furlongs, the Forgo at 7, and cutting back the Phoenix. Here is the Phoenix where he outgained Limousine Liberal, who if it was Keeneland would have a chance. He doesn't seem to do his best running outside of Keeneland, but AP Indian brings his game to whatever racetrack he is running at, and he is a big-time player. He has tactical speed, but he's certainly comfortable rating, and he has to be considered a top contender in this race. But the horse that I like is Dreyfong. We can look at Dreyfong winning our King's Bishop at Saratoga. He went right in the front. He was able to control at a fair enough pace, and he had things go his own way. But left in his wake was No Holding Back Bear, who's running in this race, who came back and won the Gallant Bob. Well left in his wake is another horse who'll be a price. That's the New York bred Mind Your Biscuits. He came back, and he was second in the Gallant Bob. Dreyfong is a very good horse, and he doesn't need the lead. He's rated before. I think he sits 3rd in this race behind Delta Bluesman and Masochistic. He gets the jump. I make him my top selection over AP Indian. But I'm also going to be using the one Mind Your Biscuits. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a homer, but this New York bred, he's A-OK, and he's improving, and any pace is going to help him. He is the long shot I'm going to use. Keep in mind, Lord Nelson, the 6. He was a late scratch. He came out right before we came in the air. I'm 2-1-5 in this Breeders' Cup Sprint, a race that unfortunately will not include Lord Nelson and Joking. I like Dreyfong. I like him so much, I'm going to bet him on Naira Bets. I'm a member of Naira Bets, but if you're not a member of Naira Bets, sign up now. There's a $300 sign-up bonus. BC 2016. Get to work. You're going to want that money to bet the Breeders' Cup races. Breeders' Cup Saturday continues with what I think is one of the most fun races, and I love it when they run it at Santa Anita because I don't think there's anything better than watching them charge down the hill going 6.5 furlongs, but it's a lot different than other Breeders' Cup sprints. And we'll look at last year's race at Keeneland, won by Mongolian Saturday, who will come back and he will try to defend his title. He is a very cool horse. Spent his year running in some odd races overseas, came back, he won at Keeneland. This is him winning last year. He did it over Lady Shipman. Now, she's not going to run. She could have gotten in, but Green Mask, who finished third, he's going to run in this race. I don't want Mongolian Saturday going the 6.5 furlongs down the hill. I'm a fan of his. I just don't know if this is the right race. Now, I'm a big fan of Pure Sensation. We'll take a look at Pure Sensation winning our new Belmont Turf Sprint, and he closed in this race. I don't think he's going to be able to do it in here. With his rail position, he's going to come out winging in here. He's a very good horse, but he's got to do it down the hill for the first time. He's got to do it against 6.5 furlongs, and it's going to take every bit of his best effort that we saw here. He's had a great year. He's a good horse. He's a fan. I'm a fan of his. I just don't want to bet him in here, especially at a shortest price. My top choice is A Lot. Number 9, A Lot. His last race was a tremendous second-place finish in our 4-star Dave up at Saratoga. This was a race that was run with a very slow pace, and he managed to come from last, going a mile, which is probably a bit far for him. 6 to 7 furlongs, that's perfect for him. Down the hill at 6.5, if he can get that nice outside run, I think he's going to be very tough for Javier Castellano. He's been raced sparingly this year for Chad Brown. I like A Lot. Another horse that I like in here, and there's sort of co-choices for me, are the 9 A Lot and the 14 Celestine. Celestine's performance when winning our Just a Game back on Belmont Stakes Day was one of the most devastating performances of the year. Tevin didn't run. With all due respect to her, I'm not sure she didn't make the right choice going over to Ascot instead of facing this monster that we saw in Celestine. Now, issues kept her out until the fall. She got a good prep in the First Lady last time out at Keeneland, and I think she, too, will be dangerous, and I like that outside draw. She has an outside post in here, one from the outside with a horse drawing in from the AEs. A couple of California horses that are dangerous are obviously an Ohm. They didn't get into the Breeders' Cup Mile. They've gotten into this race, however. Obviously is the one I think a lot of people are going to like. I don't love the speed horses cutting back from a mile down the hill. I prefer closer types. And even though Ohm may not be as good as obviously, I think Ohm may be better going the 6.5 furlongs down the hill. Now, the Europeans to take a look at, well, there is one European that I want to include in here if I can find the horse. I know it's the 5 horse. I got to look through a lot of PPs to find him in here. It's Kamar. It's going to be a big price. It finished behind Lamato. Maybe the best race that he ever ran was his last race at Chantilly. Behind Lamato is a big-time player in the mile, and he'll be a price. I'm going 9, 14, 5, 12. It's a wide-open Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, perhaps the most fun betting race on the Breeders' Cup card. And how are you going to bet it? You're going to bet it on Naira Bets. $300 bonus. Sign up now. BC 2016. Bet 300, get 300. No better deal in the game. As the Breeders' Cup race continue at Santa Anita, one of the most anticipated races is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and this is a good one. You've got good ones from the West Coast. You've got good horses from the East Coast. You've got good horses from all around, and they're finally meeting up. The prep out at Santa Anita was the front runner, and the winner of that race was Gormley. Gormley's not getting the same kind of easy lead he got in there. I don't like him. I like Klimt, and I'm hoping that Klimt's home court advantage can help him. I think he's a little bit questionable at the distance, but I'm going to take a chance. He was badly compromised by a lack of pace, partly because a horse lost his rider at the start on a track that was favoring speed, and I thought he ran well to finish second as a heavy favorite. I think he bounces back in this Breeders' Cup race. Klimt is my top choice, the one horse. Let's look once again at a race that never gets old, and that's the Champagne we ran at Belmont Park. Syndergaard ran about as well as a horse can run and not get the money. He cut out a fast pace. He got a moderate first quarter, a very fast second quarter. Practical Joke, though, he blew the brake. He got into it around the turn. They battled down the stretch. Now, Syndergaard probably gets disqualified if he finishes first and wins the head bob because he drifted significantly and made contact on a number of occasions with Practical Joke. Can Syndergaard wire the field? He's going to have to go fast to do it because there are some fast horses in here. We'll see how it goes up front. I prefer Practical Joke of the two, but I'm scared of Syndergaard. There's no doubt about it. They are both talented, as is Classic Empire. And Classic Empire took the measure of Looking at Lee at Keeneland. He was on the pace. He got position from an outside post. He stalked wide. And Classic Empire, the only problem he's ever had was when he wheeled to start at Saratoga and lost his rider. Other than that, he's been undefeated, and he's been impressive in winning. And he is a big-time player. He's a horse that's comfortable rating. He can put himself in the game. And Classic Empire, a big-time player for the Cassies. A very dangerous horse is Not This Time. I didn't pick Not This Time for Dale Romans because he's the favorite in the morning line, and I don't want him as the favorite in this race. I wish his prep for this, the Iroquois, a super race where he buried Looking at Lee, who finished second behind Classic Empire, had been in a dry track. I have trouble taking a short price off a horse that won. It's one thing to take a bigger price, as we talked about with Jamyson and Ginger in the Philly version of this race. A short price, Not This Time, a half to Liam's Map. He has been very good. He's very dangerous. He has speed. He can rate. Can he do it in a fast track? Do you want a short price? I use him, but I use him defensively. An interesting player in here is Theory, going out for trainer Todd Pletcher. He, along with Syndergaard, are the two biggest players I think that Todd probably has in the Breeders' Cup races. Theory's good. He's 2 for 2, and he was a sensation at Saratoga. They said he was out for the rest of the year. It turns out he's fine. He came back in our Futurity, and he was good. And he probably wants more distance. But he's a speed type that's going to have to stalk Syndergaard with 2 sprint races under his belt, coming back in 3 weeks, and hold off a bunch of talented closers. If he does it, he is a deserving winner. He'll do it without my money on him, but I have no doubt that Theory is talented. I think horses like Three Rules are talented coming from Florida, but probably not as good as some others here, and his speed may not tactically work for him. I like the 1 Klimt. I like the 9 Practical Joke. I like the 10 Not This Time. I like the 5 Classic Empire. I like the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. This is going to be a sensational race, and one of many you want to try to find some value. Which are the horses you like that end up getting lost a little bit? Those are the ones I think you want to focus in on in your betting. And when you're betting it with Naira Bets. This is the time to sign up. A $300 sign-up bonus. Bet 300, get 300. Promo code BC2016. Sign up now. The Longines Breeders' Cup Turf is race 9 on Saturday. It kicks off the pick 4 of the last 4 Breeders' Cup races. And at Naira Bets, we have a special deal, a 10% winner's bonus. You play this Breeders' Cup pick 4 on Naira Bets. You win, you get a 10% bonus, and it begins in race number 9, the Longines Breeders' Cup Turf. FLINTSHIRE is the horse to beat in this race. We go back to Saratoga. We're going to see him beating Money Multiplier and Twilight Eclipse. Money Multiplier ran very well in here, had trouble, and he was a good second behind FLINTSHIRE. Twilight Eclipse, he's lost a step. He's a cool horse, but he's not as good as these. But it's still nice to see him in the race. FLINTSHIRE is the horse to beat. I think of the U.S.-based horses, and FLINTSHIRE I still think is kind of a European, even though he's been here all year. I think Money Multiplier is the most dangerous. I just don't know if he's good enough to beat any of the European shippers. The other problem is the next race, and this was run in the Joe Hirsch Turf class at Belmont Park, when Ektot for trainer Todd Pletcher was able to wire the field on a rain-softened course that Money Multiplier hated. He's never run well in this kind of course, and this is not the course that FLINTSHIRE likes. The problem is Money Multiplier is a big price, so if you want to give him an excuse and use him, you're getting a big price, whereas FLINTSHIRE is probably going to be the favorite. And I just hate taking a favorite off an uncharacteristically poor effort. I do think the course condition had a lot to do with it. But was it the only reason he didn't run well? And that's the question you have to ask yourself, because they are meeting serious Europeans. Found, who won this race last year, who's better than ever and seems to run well. Well, she runs every 2-3 weeks, and she came back since her big win in the Arc, and make no mistake, good trip or not, she won this Arc with devastating ease. Highland Reel will finish second to her. I thought he ran very well to finish second. He was up close early, dropped back a little bit, but got right back in it, and he was a good second. He's also going to be forwardly placed in this Breeders' Cup Turf, and I think he's a player. In fact, I prefer Highland Reel to Found in here. I just think he might get a better run of this race than Found, and he'll be a better price. These are serious Europeans. There is another European I want to talk about. Before I talk about Mondialiste, though, I want to talk about a horse who's going to be my top choice, and that is the 7 horse Ulysses. I understand. You look at Ulysses and you say, These are major Grade 1 talented, Group 1 talented horses. Why would you take a horse that's coming off a loss in a Group 3 that's never done better than win a Group 3? He's trained by Michael Stout, who's been pointing to this race for months. He knew that Highland Reel was coming. He knew there's a good chance Found would be here. He knew FLINTSHIRE would be here. He even thought Postponed would be here, yet he's been pointing this horse. And why? This is a horse that off of a maiden win was considered good enough to be just 8-1 in the Epsom Derby. He may not have run well, but that is a lot of respect. And he is coming to this race, I think, pointed for this race much more than the others. So I think he's worth a chance at a big price, and I'm going to try to beat FLINTSHIRE with the 7 Ulysses. I am not going to be using Mondialiste. I am a big fan of Mondialiste, and I thought he ran very well to win last year up in Canada. I thought he had a decent prep last time at Keeneland. He's in the wrong race. Here he is winning the Arlington Million a mile and a quarter. They want to take a chance in a mile and a half. If he does it, I tip my hat to him. I don't see him improving enough to beat these horses. I like Mondialiste, just not in this spot. I'm picking the 7 Ulysses. I'm picking them over FLINTSHIRE, and I'm taking them over Highland Reel and Found. I like all the Europeans in this race. I'm just looking for a bit of an upset with Ulysses at a price. The Americans, I think the money multiplier is the best of them, and if I played some supers, I'd be trying to get them into the 3rd or 4th slot. An interesting race. You're playing supers. You're playing the late pick 4. I'm kicking off with my top 2 selections in here, FLINTSHIRE and Ulysses, and I'm looking for that 10% winner's bonus on Naira Bets. You're signing up for Naira Bets to get that bonus. $300 bonus for signing up now. Promo code BC2016. Naira Bets. No other place to play. The Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint may lack the star power of some other races, but it takes a back seat to no race as far as competitiveness. They are all players in this race, and we'll start out by looking at what we like to call the house horse, Have You Gone Away, winning the Grade 1 Ballerina at Saratoga against a number of fillies and mares she'll face in this race. Have You Gone Away, trained by Tom Morley, or as we like to call him, Maggie Wolfendale's husband. She's been good. She has been really good, and Tom has done a great job with her. The problem I have with her is, first of all, I'm rooting for her. I hope she does well out in here, so I don't have to bet her. But the other thing is, she's the 3-1 morning line favorite, and I don't know if she's supposed to be favored in here. She's good, and she's coming in here working well and running well, but she's got serious competition. CARINA Mia, who finished 3rd in the Ballerina, I like her chances. I think she'll be forwardly placed, but maybe not as much in the teeth of the battle in this race, and I prefer her of the horses coming out of the Ballerina. Now, other horses that ran the Ballerina are PAULASSILVERLINING and WAVELL Avenue. WAVELL Avenue won this race last year, and she didn't run that badly, actually, in the prep for this, the Gallant Bloom, a race she was 2nd in last year, and she finished a decent 3rd. It was a race dominated at the front end. She had some traffic issues. PAULASSILVERLINING has been terrific all year as well, and at a big price, she's very usable. By the Moon, who ran in the Ballerina, she's usable at a big price. There is not a big margin between a lot of these horses, and I think price has to be your guide. But the horse that's my top choice is the 12, and that's Finest City. Finest City was running on the turf in her last 2 races. I have absolutely no idea why they're running her on the turf. She's really a dirt sprinter. And if you look at her, the last time she ran a dirt sprint was at Los Alamitos when she ran in the Great Lady M. And of course, Great Lady M was the dam of the mighty Lady Secret, and she got the job done over a good horse in fantastic style. I like this horse, Finest City. She draws well on the outside. She gets Mike Smith. She's a big price in here, and I like Finest City. Terrace Tango is another horse from California, and she's cutting back. Let's take a look at her a couple of starts back when she was sprinting in the Rancho Bernardo, when she beat Enchanting Lady. In her prior start, she'd finished behind Forever Unbridled. She can run with the big girls routing. She's not good enough to beat them, but she may be okay cutting back in distance, and I think Terrace Tango is a player in this race. It's a wide-open race. A lot of horses have a chance, but I like the 12, Finest City. I prefer her over CARINA Mia. I'm also going to use the 3 as my 3rd selection in this race. That's Terrace Tango. Have You Gone Away will be in here protectively. Finest City, though, is my top selection. The Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. It is a very, very competitive race, and yet another race where you want to hunt for value, find that value, and then go to Naira Bets and bet the value. A $300 sign-up bonus, and it's not going to last long. You'll want to do it now. Promo code BC2016, the $300 bonus on Naira Bets. Saturday's penultimate Breeders' Cup race is the Breeders' Cup Mile, and like every year, it is a sensational race. There are a great deal of competitors, U.S.-based horses and Europeans as well. The sensation of America and Europe is Tepin. Let's take a look at Tepin winning the Breeders' Cup Mile last year. She was very good winning it last year, and she has been nothing but very good in all of her starts, including her loss last time. We'll get to that. But she did it last year over a very odd Keeneland turf course that many horses didn't handle, but she relished. A very different course at Santa Anita, a firmer course, one where she may be forwardly placed. We'll see how well that works out for her. I respect Tepin. I just don't need her at a short price in this race. I don't love either of her last two races well. Can she peak on a different turf course against this field? I'm betting she can't. I'm betting against her, but that has cost me money in the past. We'll look at her prep race for this. That was the First Lady out at Keeneland. She got wired. She ran okay to finish second. Believe me, it wasn't a bad effort. Photo Call ran them off their feet. Photo Call, she's the proverbial last time was the time. And even though she is not projected to be part of the pace, it's hard to imagine they're going to rate her after she ran the best race she's ever run, going a mile last time sent the lead. The question is, can she even keep up with the speed of Midnight Storm? A California horse that will be on my tickets, Midnight Storm. He's a dangerous horse. We'll see what kind of part of the pace Photo Call plays. We'll see how that works out for Tepin. We'll see how it works out for a bunch of other horses that prepped at Keeneland, and they prepped in the Shadwell Turf Mile. That was a race that was won by Miss Temple City. Amazing job by Graham Motion. She faced the boys. She stayed away from Tepin twice at Keeneland, and she beat the boys in both the fall and in the spring and in the fall. She beat Ironicus, and there's Ironicus, the gray monster on the outside, who ran a remarkable race coming off a layoff. His first starts at finishing second to FLINTSHIRE in the Manhattan, and he did it against no pace. Believe me, he'll get more pace in this race. The problem with Ironicus is everybody likes him. He's 8-1 in the morning line. There is no way he's going to be 8-1. You'll be lucky to get 4-1 on him, but he is still a major player. The third place finisher in there, Tourist, ran sneaky well. He was sort of mid-pack. He wasn't that far close to the front, but he wasn't as far back as Ironicus. But he was also 3 wide in the clear the whole way, which is not a comfortable trip. And he's 15-1 morning line. I think you get no worse than 12-1. You might even get a bigger price. Tourist is my top choice because I believe he will present value in here. He has run well in California. He has shipped. He's in career form. And I liked his prep, and I like his price. I'm picking Tourist, and I am picking him over Ironicus. I'm going to use some other horse in here, including Midnight Storm, because I'm scared of his speed as well. I'm also going to use the 10 Lamato. Now, Lamato is the European they're all talking about, and here he is beating Carrar, a horse I like a little bit in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. This is a big win of the Prix de la Forêt. But that was 7 furlongs at Chantilly, and he also got an absolutely perfect trip. He sat tucked in behind the leader, he angled out top the stretch, and he got the run of the race. But keep in mind, he was an impressive winner. But this is a tougher field than the one he beat in the Forêt. And the other thing is, he might have been better off in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. A mile's a question. His worst race this year, albeit off a layoff, wasn't a mile. I wonder if he'll be best that distance, but I do think he is a very talented horse. Another European that's going to attract attention is the number 2, Alice Springs. She's a nice horse. I don't know if she's going to be, A, as good on firm turf, and I don't know if she's good enough to beat these horses. I think Lamato of the Europeans is a better horse. I respect Tepin. I just think she's not going to offer value in this race. Tourist is the value for me. I picked him on top. The 5 Tourist, I took him over Ironicus. Midnight Storm is the speed I want to use from California. Throw him in. Don't let him beat you. And Lamato's a dangerous European. I don't know if he'll be as low as his morning line of 7-2. Once again, they're Breeders' Cup races. They're big fields. They're competitive. Let price be your guide before you head over to Naira Bets to bet on these Breeders' Cup races. This is the time to sign up for Naira Bets. Promo code BC2016. Sign up now for that $300 bonus to bet the Breeders' Cup races on Naira Bets. And finally, the Breeders' Cup Classic answers all the questions. Is California Chrome truly the best horse in training? Can the 3-year-old Arrogate duplicate his sensational performance in the Travers? Is Frost as good at 1.25 miles, shipping across the country as he's been at shorter distances? These are the questions. The answer comes Saturday evening around 8:30 Eastern Time in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and California Chrome is the one they have to beat. He was a very good 3-year-old. He didn't have much of a 4-year-old season, but he has been unstoppable as a 5-year-old. He won his prep for the Dubai World Cup. He won the Dubai World Cup in sensational fashion. He has been unbeatable. Dortmund is the only one to give him a test in 2016. But this is a tougher race, and he drew inside, and he'll be inside of the other speed, and they're going to hook up. The other speed. That's AGATE. And I tell you what, ever since he crossed the wire like this in Saratoga, the Travers, we've all been looking forward to this matchup against California Chrome, the Classic, and we don't have to wait much longer. AGATE was absolutely sensational. In my opinion, this is what greatness looks like. Now, AGATE hasn't done enough in his career to be considered a great horse, but that was a great performance. And his performance in the Travers will win this race. But they're not machines, and you don't know if he's going to come back, duel with a horse like California Chrome, and be able to put him away and hold off some other courses. This is a much tougher spot. But I tell you what, I don't think he's supposed to be 5-2 or 3-1. I think he and California Chrome are supposed to be similar prices. So I believe he's the value play. And at 5-2 or 3-1, I'm betting AGATE to win. I loved his Travers. I think this is going to be a sensational matchup between these two. The question becomes, will they hook up early and perhaps set it up for some other horses in here, most notably Frosted. Now, here's Frosted when he lost. This is him losing our Woodward. A lot of people blame Joel Rosario. I am not one of them. He's not a horse that likes the whip. He had a bit of a wide trip, but he was mostly carried out in the stretch. Yeah, Shaman Ghost, who beat him in nose, had a better trip. There's no doubt about it. Shaman Ghost isn't impossible to pick up some pieces at the end and maybe get a big piece of this race, but Frosted is the third best horse in this race, and he's not a dud at 1.25 miles. He ran very well in third in the Travers at Saratoga in 2015 behind Keen Ice and American Pharaoh. He is going to be sitting third or fourth behind AGATE and California Chrome, and if they're really hitting up front, he's the most likely one to pick up the pieces. Do I expect it to happen? No, I don't. Do I think it's impossible? No, I don't. I also think Shaman Ghost can get a piece. Now, Melatonin is another horse from California, and for whatever reason, his connections have not raced him since winning the Gold Cup at Santa Anita at the end of June. You're coming back 4+ months later with a horse who has tactical speed, who's been involved in sort of tepid paces, and now he's got to face the likes of AGATE and California Chrome. Good luck to him. I like Melatonin. I think he's a neat horse. I think it's going to be very tough for him in here. Can a horse like Keen Ice, the horse who upset American Pharaoh last year, who has one prep race for his new trainer, Todd Pletcher, can he suck up and pick up pieces at the end? I don't think it's impossible. I actually think he ran fairly well in his return race, and he has a chance to get a piece. He's my fourth choice. But make no mistake, this race is about California Chrome and AGATE, but it is not a one-horse race. Frosted has a chance for the upset, but California Chrome may well have his hands full with AGATE. The number 10 AGATE is my top choice. I took him over California Chrome with Frosted and Keen Ice, my third and fourth choices. Like a lot of people, I can't wait for this one. I'm hoping I get 3-1 in AGATE, and I am going right to Naira Bets, and I'm betting AGATE to win. And you, too, can bet whoever you want in this race if you sign up now for Naira Bets, and this is the time. Promo code BC2016. Get your $300 bonus and get it in time for the Breeders' Cup. There's a ton of action. There are 4 races on Friday and 9 on Saturday. Lots of good racing, lots of great racing. Enjoy.